Now recognize Mr. Burlison from Missouri.
Mr. Chairman, Admiral Haynes, the Director of National Intelligence, had a statement recently. It said the CCP presents both the leading and most consequential threat to U.S. national security and leadership globally. And its intelligence-specific ambitions and capabilities make it, for us, our most serious and consequential intelligence rival. That being said, I was shocked, this question for you, Mr. Mattis, I was shocked to hear about a program that the CCP uses with the United Front to target and control Chinese Americans and the Chinese diaspora in the United States. What is their goal?
The goal in representing those, or having control over those kinds of community organizations, in part has to do with using their voices, hijacking their voices, if you will, to represent them to their congressional members and to their political leaders, right? Because you can't possibly meet with every single constituent and solicit their opinion and have it engage in a conversation. You have to deal with groups of all kinds, right? Whether they are through unions, through voluntary associations. And therefore, you can have an organization of entirely patriotic Americans with one bad apple in a leadership position who, by virtue of that position, can now
is the voice for that group.
And the other thing is that when those groups meet with politicians, and that image is often transmitted back into the PRC, Chinese people recognize what those groups are. And that's a message from the CCP to the Chinese people that not only are we in control here,
but we control you there.
And you will not get rescue from them.
And that being said, since 2014, the CCP has overseen an extra-legal operation for repatriation called Operation Fox Hunt. They use Operation Fox Hunt to harass and stalk Chinese Americans and the Chinese diaspora. Could you describe this campaign, and would you consider it political warfare?
I'm not sure if I would consider it political warfare, but I would consider it a violation of U.S. sovereignty by a foreign power, right? They're conducting operations on our soil that are affecting American citizens. They are deliberately avoiding any judicial channels for dealing with a law enforcement matter. And they say that it is under the guise of anti-corruption, and indeed some of it may be a corrupt official, but as we've seen from Xi Jinping's campaign internally, some of the people that are targeted are very clearly targeted for their political reasons, and corruption is simply an excuse.
Yeah, so what are the methods or tactics that they're using? I know I've heard that they have organized policing groups that are located in the United States.
Yes, and those groups have been used to hire sort of private investigators to sort of pursue and look. In some cases where there are direct confrontations with the victim to be repatriated back to the PRC, they are showing, say, pictures of family members or calling family members in Beijing or in the PRC to demonstrate that, look, if you're not on a plane back, then this will be the last.
So they're threatening the family members that are still in China,
yes,
and saying if you don't repatriate back or, come to heel.
If you're not back in the PRC in X amount of time, then this will be the end for it.
Just this year, one of the Operation Fox Hunt's top official met with the Deputy Secretary Advisor John Feiner and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. Could you explain how this might represent elite capture?
Look, I don't think that something like that kind of meeting would represent elite capture. If you were trying to get particular messages into the system, if you were trying to tell the PRC what is acceptable or not, you're going to have to deal with those security authorities, and you're going to have to press the message there.
But you think that there is a risk for U.S. officials who are meeting with CCP officials that are in charge of these repatriation efforts? Obviously, they're seeking out these meetings.
Again, if you were trying to have any impact on the Ministry of Public Security or the Ministry of State Security, you cannot meet with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So you will have to meet with them. That's simply the nature of dealing with those governments.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.